On this episode of the Airport Economist, follow my lead in the birthplace of the tango. We'll find out how to do business with flair in Argentina, how one Australian company is taking advantage of the mining boom, why it's now so much easier to do business in mineral-rich Argentina. From shipyards in Hobart to Latin America's River Plate, the Australian company that built the fastest ferry in the world, and the Argentine mates serving brew with an Aussie flavour. Welcome to Buenos Aires. I'm Tim Harcourt, the Airport Economist, and I'm going to show you around the capital of Argentina. This country went from rags to almost the richest nation on earth, and then rags again. But now it's on the mend and is host to the G20, which has added to its prestige. Eschewing both populism and extreme free market policies, Argentina is now mapping a pragmatic middle road to recovery. And it should. After all, it still has strong agricultural and mineral sectors and a well-educated workforce. So let's take a closer look at Argentina and its potential for an economic renaissance. After Brazil, Argentina is the second largest South American country in terms of size, in both geography and population. It is made up of 2.7 million square kilometres. Argentina has a population of more than 44 million, with capital Buenos Aires the largest city by far, then Cordoba and Rosario and other wine centres like Mendoza. Its GDP is almost 626 billion US dollars, and despite recent troubles, its GDP per capita is over 14,000 US dollars, which is still 40% ahead of Brazil. Inflation has been a problem in Argentina, so much so that economists were once told to stop measuring the price of a Big Mac at McDonald's to calculate the Big Mac index. It now sits at 22.7%. Unemployment is 8% of the labour force and slightly up on its rate 5 years ago. Argentina's major export partners are Brazil, the US and China. It imports mainly from those countries too. It's a member of Mercosur along with Brazil, Uruguay and Paraguay. Argentina also forms part of the G20 and the Cairns group of agricultural exporting nations in the WTO. Now in business, as in dance, it takes two to tango. So if you're wanting to break into the Argentine market, what do you need to know? I sat down with Australian Ambassador Noel Campbell. Argentina recently received IMF intervention. What's their medium-term outlook? Is it on the mend?
I think you can take the connection with the IMF two ways. One in a negative way, Argentina had to be rescued. The other in a positive way. There's confidence in the government and the reform path that the government is on. Therefore, they and its member states have agreed to lend money or provide a standby agreement. I have to say, I personally take the latter view. I think we need to look back at the inheritance that the current government received back in 2015 after 12 years of populist government, which meant high debt, high inflation, high unemployment, low growth, and low rankings in terms of respect for the rule of law, low rankings in terms of corruption.
Argentina has tried left-wing populism, right-wing populism, neoliberalism. Is it now more middle way?
Without a doubt. I think the president, when he assumed office, President Macri, made it very clear that his two key objectives were, number one, to open the economy, and number two, to reinsert Argentina back into the international community, to resume its traditional place as a regional leader in Latin America.
Argentina's a G20 country. How important was hosting the G20 to Argentina's prestige and recovery?
I think that was a very conscious decision on the part of the new government to show that Argentina is back in the international community. It's also a tremendous opportunity, which it's taken every advantage of over the last year, to promote the changes, to promote the reforms, to show what opportunities there are in this country for foreign investment, for increased trade. So I think chairing the G20, just as we did in 2014, has been a tremendous opportunity to showcase the nation and what its potential is.
So if an investor comes here and asks you what are Argentina's strengths, what do you say?
This is an important food-producing nation. We pride ourselves on being able to feed 80 million people. Argentina has the capacity to feed 400 million people. So its rich resource base is an obvious strength. We've talked about the mining sector as well and the immense reserves that they have. the energy sector. Argentina has the second largest reserves of shale gas and the fourth largest reserves of shale oil. To this moment, only recently being exploited.
So there's been plenty of ups and downs in the Argentine economy. Do you think there'll be more ups in the future?
Argentina is under new management, the change of government. Argentina is open for business, the reform program, and the time is now, right now.
Still to come, we take you on board a wave-piercing ferry built by Australians. Argentina is also home to many of Latin America's tech unicorns. That's a fancy way of describing a privately held startup company worth more than $1 billion. A push has been made to get these companies to set up shop in Australia's tech capital, Melbourne. Pablo Schatz, Senior Trade Investment Director for Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Tim. It's a pleasure.
Do you think the breakdown in political institutions has led to the boom in startups for young people in Argentina?
I think that's part of the equation, definitely. You know that in Argentina, if you don't create your own future, no one will bring that future for you. So it's, as I say, it's an environment that is conducive for entrepreneurship and a good startup ecosystem. There are also initiatives, government initiatives that support that landscape.
What knowledge and innovation could these startup companies bring to Australia?
The resilience, the proactiveness of Argentinian companies is something that could go a long way in Australia. The Argentinian unicorns, the tech unicorns, have a lot of opportunities in Melbourne, in particular. It's the gateway to Australia for Latin American companies and people. And if we're talking about tech unicorns, definitely Melbourne is the tech capital city of Australia. A huge number of US and EU-based companies are looking at Melbourne and establishing their presence here.
What Victorian companies are doing particularly well in the Argentinian market today?
Agriculture is pretty much everything in Argentina, and we have Australian and Victorian companies doing great contributions to the Argentinian agriculture sector. I'm thinking of Rubicon, thinking of New Farm. These are companies that are bringing their smarts to make Argentinian agriculture much more productive and efficient. So
what tips and advice would you give Australian companies, including Victorian companies, looking to move to Argentina?
These are markets that you cannot usually serve on a fly-in, fly-out basis. You need to come to the market, you need to make connections, you need to build relationships, that's always very important. And you need to also be patient, be resilient. You need to give yourself the time to develop those relationships, to establish those communications. And you need to understand your clients' needs, and you need to speak in their terms. Analyze the challenges that your potential clients are facing, and try to translate your solution from the Australian way of putting them into the way an Argentinian decision maker would think. And also another tip would be, if you're a Victorian company, knock on the door of the Victorian State office in Latin America. We're in Santiago, but we cover the whole region, so we'll be more than happy to help you navigate Latin America.
Still to come, meet the two blokes bringing a taste of Australia to Argentina. About 80% of subsoil here is untouched, which means there's potentially vast amounts of precious metals yet to be found. A change of government has led to significant foreign investment in lithium exploration. Australian company Latin Resources is taking full advantage of that, working on a number of projects across the country. So tell us what lithium is and why it's so important.
Tim, I think we're going to see a massive shift over the next 10 years of these dirty, smoggy, gasoline guzzling vehicles to something new. With certainly Tesla's one company that started that trend of going to all electric and electric storage. So fundamentally, lithium provides as a major mineral for electric batteries and electric storage. We're seeing wind and solar farms driving electric storage. We've seen recently in South Australia the Tesla battery installation, where Elon came in and obviously installed the largest electric storage battery in the world. And guess what? It also works. So we're seeing technology improve, but the major component for any type of battery in that area at the moment is lithium.
So do you think there's going to be a revolution when it comes to lithium?
Look, a lot of people are saying that. When you look at the aspect that the batteries are now getting longer charges, they're getting further coverage. It used to be around 200 kilometres, it's now 400 to 500 kilometres for some vehicles. When we're seeing that BMW have announced that they're going to bring out 10 new models over the next 5 years, purely electric. Daimler are now entering into that market. Ford has spent $4.5 billion on that technology for lithium, so we're going to see massive increase in electric vehicles on the roads, which, in turn, is it, a revolution such as when the horse and cart became the combustion engine? Is that the sort of thing we're going to see? I think we will, definitely.
So in terms of lithium potential in Argentina, are we at the tip of the iceberg?
Well, the statistics will show, and the analysts will prove, basically show a model where as the vehicles expand, the electric storage expands, as we start to get power storage and have solar at our homes with storage, that there's going to be a need for 10 times the amount of lithium there is today over the next 15 years. So the fundamentals are there. It's just embracing the new technology, embracing clean energy is going to be the big move. And as we all know, we all want to see clean energy.
What are the main opportunities and challenges in Argentina?
I think one of the challenges, not only in Argentina, but throughout Latin America, is bringing the exploration model in country. I say to our people, our number one priority is the community. And often I say that, how would you like someone coming into your backyard start digging around without your permission? And that's the way we should treat things. We should actually, and one of the things we do at Latin Resources is our number one priority is when we go into that district for a month or two, talk to the people, let them know what we're going. Even though we have all the exploration rights under the mining code, we would talk to the community. We would essentially get their approval before we do any work. In the past, it hasn't been like that. In the last 20 years, there's been many mistakes made with the communities, hence that making it difficult to actually carry out exploration, drilling, for example. Santiago Mines Department, Chile have got it right. Peru are getting it right. Argentina has a long way to catch up, but fundamentally we should be really ensuring that the communities are satisfied that what we're doing is not going to cause any damage to the environment, that type of thing.
Coming up, how to navigate the Argentine capital. We asked the locals. This ferry is arguably the fastest catamaran in the world, and it was built by Australian company Incat. The Francisco was named after the first Argentine Pope and operates between Buenos Aires and Montevideo daily. Let's speak to the man who built this 7,000-tonne vessel. So, Robert, we're here in Sydney with the Victor Cheng, another one of your ferries. Tell us the story of Incat.
I've been around a long time. I started off as a ferry operator on the Derwent, and the government came along and knocked the bridge down, which meant that I suddenly had 45,000 customers need to get across the river.
You seem to be all over the world. How many countries do you actually export to?
We export to most countries around the world, virtually every continent, Canada, South America, Denmark, Mediterranean. There's not many places we don't.
Is it defence or commercial passengers, or a bit of both?
We have one vessel with defence at the moment. We have had vessels with the defence with the Australian Navy and the Americans, and at the moment we only have one with the Japanese.
So how did South America come about?
We won the House Trophy for the fastest ship across the Atlantic. And in doing that, our customer in South America saw the publicity and he said, I want a boat like that. So he came to us.
So how is Argentina as a place to do business?
Argentina is not a difficult place to do business with. We're fortunate in having a local agent who speaks the language, of course, and speaks English. Our customer doesn't speak English. So I've had to try and learn rudimentary Spanish, and he's tried to learn English, but that hasn't worked very well. And the agent is very important.
So, Robert, Argentina's had a few ups and downs in terms of the economy. How has Incat handled that?
We have had our ups and downs with dealing with the South American customer, but he's always come good. He's purchased 8 ships from us in the past, and he will purchase the 9th.
So how does Argentina compare to Uruguay?
Well, the truth is we deal with the two countries. Our customer is actually is a Uruguayan. His office is in Uruguay and in Argentina. So some of the vessels have gone to Uruguay, some have gone to Argentina. It makes little difference to us. It's almost one country as far as we're concerned.
So you're a proud Tasmanian company. Is that beneficial in Argentina?
I'm a very proud Tasmanian, and we're very, very happy to have been well received in Argentina, and we do enjoy doing business with Argentina.
What's the main competition? Is it air, road, or other boats?
Well, Argentina is a very good example of different kind of competition because it's a 100-mile service. The aeroplanes were doing very nicely on that service, but we've put them out of business because by the time you go to the airport, go through all the formalities and the heavy traffic in the cities, etc., at both ends, the ship is faster than the aeroplane.
So the ferry's for business travellers as well as tourists?
The ship is very much for business travellers and for general custom.
So what's the future hold for Incat? Where do you want to take the company?
That's a very good question. We're always pushing the boundaries. The ships are getting bigger. They're in some cases getting faster, but not everybody wants to go fast. Economical is the name of the game, so we have to be economical, and bigger is generally more economical.
So how does winning awards like the Export Awards help Incat commercially?
The company's always happy to get the publicity of award-winning, etc. Hale's Trophy for the fastest ship across the Atlantic was probably their biggest one. In fact, biggest three. We've won it 3 times. We can go across the Atlantic at 42 knots. It does take people's attention.
So would you recommend that other Australian companies go to Argentina?
I would absolutely recommend other companies go to Argentina to do business. I found them to be very honest, hard-working people. Their economy has been somewhat mixed at times, but they always seem to come good.
Now to a couple of blokes that call themselves dingoes. Matthias Cavana and Nicholas Raber lived in Melbourne for 10 years before returning home to Buenos Aires. A love of Aussie produce inspired them to create their brewing company, Dos Dingoes, bringing a taste of Australia to Argentina.
First of all, we love beer. We're quite passionate about beer, and learning everything and just trying different styles of beer and understanding the depth of the craft industry in Australia. With my mate, Matty, we just drank too much beer, then we decided to make it our own. So yeah, we thought it was a great industry, really growing.
Basically, Dos means two in Spanish, but the dingo, being the biggest land predator, wasn't originally born. It didn't came from the continent itself, but was brought in by indigenous people about 20 or 30,000 years ago. So in a way, for Nico and I, having been born in Argentina, but moving to Australia, becoming true blue Aussies, basically it feels in a way like that you can come from Hawaii and become one with Australia. So that's why it felt that we were two dingoes.
First of all, we use most of our hops are from Australia, from Victoria and Tassie. So that pretty much is our identity in terms of profile or beer profile. Pretty much all our styles are from Australia, a refreshing ale, Pacific ale, Sunset ale. So we're pretty much showing Argentinians how we also drink beer.
And not just craft beer, but also produce and ingredients and the food scene from Melbourne just really inspired us to try to create and replicate in a way what we've been inspired by all those elements into our beers.
When we thought about bringing the business here to Argentina, we realized that the opportunities or varieties were just very limited. So that's when we decided that bringing those styles here to Argentina would be a big opportunity.
Look, even though both of us are from Argentina, we've been Australianised in a big way. So coming back really brought quite a few challenges because we got used to things being easy for us and things being easy in terms of you want to open a company, just go do ABC, there's a procedure, you open a company. However, you come here and you want to open a business, there's not a real procedure per se.
things are harder, I would say, to start up a business or to start something here in Argentina than in Australia. But to be honest, like, if you're determined of what you want, there's a lot of opportunities here in Argentina. And if you work hard, you can achieve them.
Because Argentina's 5 to 10 years behind, this is the right time to do it. Come first, be the first to do it, then you will be known for that, and the sky's the limit.
So what's the easiest way to get here? To enjoy some of that famous Argentine hospitality and do some business too? Let's check in with LATAM Airlines. So what's the best way to get to Argentina from Australia?
If you go from Australia, you can have a stop in Santiago, and then you can either reach Buenos Aires in one flight, or if you need to go to Córdoba, we serve both destinations with non-stop flights from Santiago.
Do you have a big domestic network in Argentina?
We have a very big domestic network in Argentina, so you can go to the north part to go to more of the desert, Salta destinations, or you can go to the south as Patagonia as well, like Ushuaia, with LATAM Airlines.
We hear a few stories about safety concerns in Argentina. What's been your experience?
Argentina is a very safe place to go. Very well communicated between we do not only fly to the Ezeiza airport, but we also fly to Aeroparque from Santiago. So you can be either very well flown into the main downtown of the city, or having well connectivity from the Ezeiza airport as well.
What are your tips for business travellers heading to Buenos Aires?
Top tips in Buenos Aires doing business. Argentinians are very social people. So if you can have meetings around a lunch or a dinner, that was fantastic and will help you probably in your outcome of the meeting. Argentina is very well known for their meat, so you can obviously have a very nice experience around several restaurants in Puerto Madero, for example, in Buenos Aires. And on the rest of Argentina, they have beautiful landscapes, and you can choose, honestly, the experience you want to have. If you want to go to some of the Patagonia side in the south, beautiful landscapes, Puerto Madryn, Ushuaia, and take a cruise to the Antarctic. Or if you want to go to the north, there's a beautiful city called Salta, in which mainly all of the houses are white. So, yeah, Argentina has a lot to offer.
So can you tango?
Can I tango? No, I have tried, but I'm not very good at it.
If you're here in BA on a business trip, but have some time up your sleeve to go exploring, what should you see and do? Let's find out from the General Manager of the Park Hyatt. So Buenos Aires is regarded as the Paris of the South. How did you get that reputation?
It is true. In Recoleta, where we are, where the Palacio Duo Park at Buenos Aires is located, we have a feel of Paris, it's true. European feel. Madrid as well.
What do you call the local residents of Buenos Aires?
Porteños.
And how are they different to the rest of Argentina?
Yes, Porteños are very similar actually to the Parisinos, the Parisian. They have their character.
And just like France is different than the rest of Europe, is Argentina different than the rest of South America?
Definitely yes. Argentinians are very different from the rest of South America. They are very European in the way they are. A lot of influence from Italia.
So immigration has shaped Argentina's character?
Yes, definitely yes.
Is it a problem if you're not fluent in Spanish?
I think it's not a problem. Definitely Argentinians are speaking English, and it's easy to do business in English in Argentina. It's always good to know some few words in Spanish. It opens doors.
Just some practical questions. How do you get from the airport to the hotel?
Arrival experience at the airport in Buenos Aires is excellent. When you arrive, you definitely, before the gates open at the exit, you will find a lot of booths where you have remise, and basically you book your driver and your car.
What's the difference between a taxi and the remise at the airport?
Taxi will be outside the airport. When you really exit the airport, you'll find the taxi. It's a common taxi like you could see anywhere else in the world. Remise, it's more luxurious car, and you book them from the airport before exiting the custom.
And what about safety? I know Buenos Aires is not a dangerous city, but is there anything you have to do in terms of precautions?
It depends definitely where you are. I think it's a pretty safe place in South America. You definitely have to be street smart, as we say, and know that things we can do and cannot do at the time of the day. But I feel very secure in Buenos Aires.
And with the ups and downs of the Argentine economy, how do people cope?
In a way, very well, because I personally see that in Buenos Aires, restaurants are full every day of the week. When you go to the cinema, when you go to the theater, you go to opera, it's always full. So people are going out. People enjoy life, whatever the economy is.
Economic woes aside, what they say is true. Buenos Aires is the Paris of the South, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And Argentina's Pampas and Patagonia are breathtaking. And the Porteños, as the locals of Buenos Aires are known, are friendly people. In fact, the Airport Economist was accidentally invited to a wedding after walking onto the wrong floor at his hotel. In Argentina, it's important to go with the flow. The country has its frustrations, but it's open and democratic, passionate and damn interesting, actually. So what do we learn from our visit? Be careful, as Argentina's had an increase in petty crime, and check the DFAT travel warnings regularly. Be cautious with legal documents and contracts. Due diligence is important, and don't rely on domestic banking or financial institutions. Get in touch with the Australian Embassy. The ambassador and his staff are your government representatives here and can help you navigate new territory. And finally, enjoy an Argentinian steak, Malbec, and maybe even learn a touch of tango. Well, that's it for this Argentina edition of the Airport Economist. See you on our next business adventure together somewhere around this great globe. I'm Tim Harcourt, and I'm the Airport Economist. Welcome to Mexico City.
I think the relationship between Mexico and Australia is doomed to be successful.
I'm Tim Harcourt, and I'm the Airport Economist.